Hello! I'm doing a quick video to show you a rhythmic concept here. This is something that I work with on students once in a while. A lot of times when people are first learning to play jazz, or converting from classical to jazz, or learning to play in both the classical and jazz styles, a lot of times younger students especially can have some trouble with the syncopated rhythms. And I just worked with a student on on learning a couple of Duke Ellington tunes, and they were having some trouble with the there's a couple of syncopated measures where every beat in the measure is syncopated, and this student was practicing it with the metronome and sort of gravitating to the downbeats, and it ended up not working. So we came up with an exercise, and I wanted to share that with you out in the world, and hopefully it will help more people to come up with this concept. So basically what we're doing is we're going to try to work on learning to feel the syncopated beats as having equal or greater importance than the downbeats. Now in jazz, the prevailing wisdom used to be that the syncopated beats and the 2 and 4, what they call a backbeat, was more important than the downbeats. And I disagree with that. I think all beats are important, but I think that they have different roles within the measure. So you have the backbeat on 2 and 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 4. That's the basis of rock and roll, and a lot of, when you speed it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, that's the basis of kind of like swing jazz type rhythm. So a lot of music educators used to just have a metronome clicking on 2 and 4 in order to get students to feel that particular thing, which does work, but it's not the only way to get there. And I think that it leaves out the importance of the fact that the downbeats are all also still there. So instead of that, what I like to do with students is I like to alternate. So we'll do one full measure of all downbeats on quarter notes, and then one full measure of all eighth notes in between the downbeats, and go back and forth with that over a scale pattern. So that way you're thinking the rhythm, you're counting the rhythm, but you're also integrating it, incorporating it into your playing technique. Those are two things that we as musicians need to be able to do at the same time. And it can be, I've had students that can easily count and clap as long as that's all they're doing, but then they go and try to play, and all the counting and clapping goes out the window, and they just play what feels right to them. And so what we want to do is we want to get this concept, so that this concept is something that you're feeling rather than having to think about where to place the notes in time, so that when you're playing it as a part of a pattern, you get an opportunity to work on that one thing over and over again. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just set your metronome at something manageable. I'm going to start out really slow so that it's, I would practice this faster than this eventually, but I want to start out slow to demonstrate the concept. So here we go. So I'm going to set my metronome. Right now we are at, let's say 96. And so that's going to be the quarter notes, right? So first of all, let's just warm up. Let's just do a scale pattern, just simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. on what will be our key of C, or B flat concert if you want to follow along. Okay, so that's the basic one. Now what we're going to do is every other measure, we're going to offset that and play the syncopated eighth notes instead. So that'll sound something like this. So on and so on. So you work your way up that scale. Now, after you get that basic concept down, you can do a couple of things. You can speed this up, which we'll do in a second, or you can pick a different pattern. So I might do something like arpeggiated chord tones instead. So like. Something like that, just so you get scalar thinking and chordal thinking. You could even do 2-5-1. Something like that, just to kind of like give yourself a little bit more variety. That's also good, by the way, too. In jazz, we want to always be creating. And so if you're thinking of different patterns to work out on this with, then that's going to give you a lot more opportunities to think of something new while you're playing, instead of just relying on things that your fingers already know how to do. So that's good. So now I'm going to demonstrate this in concept. Let's say if you're in a real world jazz situation, so to speak, and you want to, let's go up to about here. Now let's say if you get a tune like Cottontail by Duke Ellington. That 6th and 7th measure there. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Those measures where every note in it is a syncopated 8th note. So there's that. There's also another Duke Ellington tune. Would be like "I Let a Song Go Out of My Heart." That's that same 6th and 7th measure. So make sure you're doing that. If we slow that back down, that's what we're talking about right there, is placing those notes in time so that they're happening on the syncopated beat. Those kind of things are really hard to hear unless you're already hearing it. It's really hard to learn to feel that. So these exercises like this will help. And I encourage you to go through and spend some time doing this, so that you get a chance to really understand how those syncopated beats happen in relation to how the downbeats happen. Another thought too, by the way, what we used to do, we used to teach that swing was a function of triplets. So you had this kind of a thing here. So it's the first and second triplets tied, and then the third triplet. So you get doodle da doodle da doodle da. Which is kind of, that's not wrong necessarily, especially on the slower tempos. We definitely, that's a way to kind of introduce people to the swing style. But as you get faster, it's harder to keep those triplets in mind. So most of us don't think triplets when we're playing that fast. Instead, we think about hitting this note in between, like a syncopated note in between the quarter notes, and kind of give it a little emphasis of its own, and play it as if it's the anticipation of the next downbeat. And you get so those kind of things are easy to do once you've been doing them for a while, but not quite so easy to get into when you're first starting to play jazz. So I hope that this the little tutorial is helpful, and if it is, don't forget to subscribe and like the thing and all that stuff. And happy jazzing. I'll see you next time.